Good afternoon, people. Just after lunch, how do I get you guys settled in to listen to me for 15 minutes I have? So again, thank you very much for inviting me. And probably I know that you've heard about good stories about Sri Lankan stability, how the government is changing systems, processes, policies. And here, this session, we are going to talk about change that's going to take place in the SME sector and industries. So, little bit of heavy lifting, maybe little too much after the lunch, but I have to share what I have to share and where we are and where we need to go. So basically looking at the SME sector and the industries, what we see is we have everything, but it's disconnected. We have government agencies, private sector institutions, NGOs, embassies, chambers, all working very hard, but not connected to a particular ecosystem. So this whole 10 minutes is about how do we build this ecosystem, what the government is doing, and what do we expect from the industry and the private sector to support in this journey. So to kickstart the session after lunch, these are three numbers. Would you like to take a guess what these numbers are? What is the first one? 13.7? Anybody? You have to be up space. You are the industry. What? Sorry? Yes, January exports growth from last year January. Not bad, huh? Yeah? What is 36 billion? Target in 2030. It's not easy, 2 times what we have. What is 20%? This is not easy, unless you listen to the COPEF yesterday. So this is the amount of credit that moves from the financial sector to SME sector. So even though there's a huge credit growth in Sri Lanka, only 20% is accessible or accessed by the SME sector. So just to, a teaser to take you. Do you know these letters? So we generally call it as MSMEs, right? So actually, this is the problem we are having. We are not decoding this because the problems are different to medium to small to micro. What is this big M is what Sri Lanka has. That is micro, more than 1 million. And small, I don't know the number. I'm yet to understand. It's been 1.5 years, right? And then mediums are very small also, not more than 10,000, right? And there's a tiny s there. What is that? Can anybody guess? The S that you don't see? It's the startups, right? So if we are to change this country, where do we put our effort? Our limited resources, limited mind time, do we put for the big game, which is micros? Will it give us impact? Or will we put for small s, the startup ecosystem? Because that can yield us higher returns if we really get that right. And the mediums, if we can scale it up to global level, if we can take the mediums to stock market, we are moving, right? So this is the ecosystem that we generally talk about is generally as MSMEs, but the problems are absolutely different to each of these structures, right? So if you really look at the issue that we have, which is an issue that has been built or not resolved over the last 20, 30 years, which other countries have, which we have to do now. Number one problem is financial literacy. There's nothing that we can do further until we teach people what a balance sheet means. There's no balance sheets, there's no cash flows, there's no P&Ls, and there's nobody looking at debt to equity in an organization, in MSME, and understanding the financial aspect, How do you build an organization, a resilient organization? And this literacy is lacking. And second is the access to capital. We don't have access to capital in these sectors. Micros, there's no chance. Mediums and small organizations, the bank finance is not going to help because banks are backed by asset class which is not matching industrial growth because it's backed by savings, short term, and it's at high cost. And until we get a development bank, or unless our banks decide their huge profits be moved into a portfolio of long-term financing, we will not fix this problem. And then we have to work on equity side as well. There's no access to equity, not enough venture capital, startup funds, which we will do by next year. Government is starting one this year. And access to capital is the biggest barrier for growth. And the third is ease of doing business. We talk about this enough. I don't think we have to do it. But both operations, trade, compliance, all three are difficult for any business, whether it's a large business or to a micro to a startup. So this is one big issue to be solved. And the growth mindset. Most of businesses still think they can survive in Sri Lanka. We don't have a market. We have to first admit that. There's no market here. So there's not going to be scale for you. And if one company grows, the other company has to shut down because the aggregate demand does not grow, right? So we have to get into a growth mindset where businesses has to be distinguished from entrepreneurship, where we will do it going forward, where the entrepreneurs will be encouraged to win the world and look at the global value chains and the global markets. But as a mindset, we have a problem. And then the consumer focus. So if my product or service is selling nicely, I don't work on productivity. If I'm making profits, I don't work on productivity. I don't think of innovation. I don't think of consumer demands. There's no research. How many organizations in this sector, micro, medium, and small, use research to develop their products? Use market intelligence to innovate. So we have these 5 baskets of problem among many, which I prioritize in the morning. To show it to all, whatever we need to do going forward should have some focus in solving these 5. So from a ministry perspective, over the 1.5 years, some people ask, what are you guys doing? We don't see anything. Of course you don't see anything. You will see it in 2035, if I'm alive. If this government continues, you will see something in 2035. That is the reality of a transformation. Vietnam took 20 years. India took 30 years. South Korea took 30 years to see what you are comparing us against. Our businesses ask us certain demands which some countries took 20 years to achieve. And unfortunately, they are asking the new government to deliver it in 1 year. It's not easy. It's not easy. So on the ministry, we are doing a huge institutional structure change. Both IDB, NEDA, and SED will be combined into an institution called ITIA, Industrial Transformation and Innovation Agency, Authority, so which will be the place where we will transform, because industrial transformation has not taken place. Industries have existed, but they have not transformed. And the entrepreneurship ecosystem has not been built as a cohesive structure. So this is the focus of this institution, which will be enacted this year and established by 2027. The workforce we have 1,800 in the ministry, development officers. Their capacities are not enough to drive innovation change and drive change on the ground. So we've started capacity building with SLIM. SLIM is investing 300 million rupees on developing these staff, so which we have started, because without them, there's nothing and you can't take them off as well. Right? So we have to work with this team for the next foreseeable future. Then ease of doing business. We've started with simple things. This year, there will be a simplified business registration. It can be 2 days or 1 day. It's going to be harmonized across all 9 provinces. Very simple process, one form to fill. You will be up and running like a private limited on a sole proprietorship and a partnership. And then national regulatory framework is being done, basically understanding when business is running, what other institutions has how to chip in. Like what do you work with fisheries, agriculture, customs, all these things are unclear. People don't know where to go to, whom to speak to, what certificate to take to. You run a business, after you build the building, the UDA comes and says, stop it. And you never knew that you need the UDA approval. Then after that is done, then the SLDRC will come and say, you know, you are not supposed to build something on this land because this is a land that's been filled 10 years ago. You never knew when you purchased the land that you should check that. So these are problems. And we are not praying and praying for businesses to become big. So we looked at the ecosystem last year. Now we are doing very selective, high growth potential with high caliber of leadership capacity at micro level and small level. So we have picked 6,000 entities at small level. And we are leveling them up. The program is called Level Up because we want them big. So if you focus and support, they can become bigger rather trying to support 1.2 million. So then there's a program for 1,000 that we work on productivity enhancements. Program is 3 years long. It's to triple their capacity using productivity tools. And we are trying to list at least 100 medium-sized organizations in the Colombo Stock Exchange. And then access to finance, this is the maximum we could do this year. So there's 95 billion to be accessed at 5% interest. That's big. And that's big. That's probably the largest amount of funding that came through during the last few years. So Microfinance Act is being done, and we will work with non-banking institutions going forward more closely because they are the last mile delivery. And then the equity options and guarantee funds will be looked in very carefully. Now we have one guarantee institution. We will be creating more. So these are few initiatives that's running on the ministry. So here we have few things that you guys can be part of. How would you engage with the government and make an impact of thousands of things that you do as chambers and institutions, CSR, supporting SMEs? These are 4 key things. We need mentorship. I told you that financial literacy is weak, global exposure is low, the technical skills are low. So then, what if 6,000 of you take care of 6,000 of them in the micro side, right? It doesn't necessarily need a platform. During last 5 years, they have invested a large amount of money called SME Connect, and it's disconnected already. So when we came, that website is not to be used. It was built without purpose, right? But money has been spent of ADB, unnecessarily. So you don't need a platform. You can do it on your own. Your corporate put advertisement saying we are picking 10 micros to support, and they will come. And you have expertise in technology, you have expertise in finance. Why should the government intervene? Don't even come close to government. Sometimes it's very difficult. You do it on your own and let me know that we are supporting 10. We will support more. Because if you wait for a government platform to do mentoring, and that to have accountability of mentoring, it's not going to work because I can't be responsible for the mentor and the mentee. Right? Then they will say the minister has put 2 people together and that person has acquired the business without my knowledge. So it's better for you guys like chambers and private entities to do mentoring as a process, as a program. And we might be able to achieve faster results. And the supply chain integration. So we are not really looking at the supply side. We are still working on the aggregate demand side or the production side. There is no investment going through to the supply chain. agriculture supply chain, fisheries supply chain, raw material supply, services supply. It's not been developed, but you can do it. Your organization has extended supply chain, which is run by SMEs and micros, and you need to support them. And then the productivity initiative. So we've started as a government, but you can chip in supporting these institutions to get productivity consultants, digital transformation support as chambers and private organizations. The first one I forgot to say, we are building a guarantee fund which will be probably done within 3 months. I'm working very hard with People's Bank and few people, where we would put a fund into the bank, and against that, bank will be able to fund without collateral. So then we need high net worth investors, large corporates to put, 5 million, 10 million. If you can put 500 million, I don't mind. Because then the fund will get locked in and the bank will have a cushion to supply credit. So likewise. So these are few things that I think we can partner going forward. But there's a huge game plan. The entire strategy will be out by March, which is called SME 11 Pillar Framework. And the SME policy will be enacted. The industrial policy will be enacted. Export strategy will be public. So we just have to roll our sleeves and work. 5 years, heads down, do what we are supposed to do, we are out of the woods. I think central bank governor would have shown you, we just need 3.5 billion each year to pay. It's not a big deal. We already paid 3.9 billion last year. Right? So basically we are out of the woods. Right? So these are the things my time has run out. So you are listening to the Ministry of Change. This is what we call my minister, myself, secretary. We will deliver change. It's a small ministry, the smallest budget in the government. We have 12 billion rupees to work with. And out of that, 5 billion is staff and operations. So my capital budget is 7 billion. If you can support me, we can do wonders. Right? So because this ministry is the core that can connect everything together and drive the GDP and the exports. So this is what I have to share. It's hard at first. It's not visible. So we are in the phase of the messiness of, trying to connect you all, trying to explain what we are doing. People are trying to understand. Change will be difficult. 3 institutions coming together. There will be strikes, people in front of President's office. I can imagine how this is going to work because, restructuring is not easy. But of course, as other countries, the SME ecosystem will be up and running within 3 to 5 years. Thank you very much.